Welcome back to America Decides. Sources tell CBS News the House Ethics Committee will meet tomorrow as it faces pressure to release its report on Matt Gaetz. Today, I and many other reporters, I want to emphasize, tried to take the temperature on Capitol Hill about the former congressman's chances of making it through Senate confirmation.
How would you assess his chances right now?
I have no idea.
All right, thank y'all. We've got to go.
I have no idea. You know, if
50-50?
I wouldn't bet my house on it one way or the other. And if I were betting your house, which would be a lot easier, I have to say I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of I don't knows on Capitol Hill this morning, I can tell you that for sure. Kadia Goba and Brakkton Booker join us now. Kadia is a political reporter for Semafor. Brakkton is a national political correspondent for Politico. So, Kadia, I'll just start with you. There are other issues for Matt Gaetz. He has called all those who have either pled guilty or been convicted over January 6th crimes, all of them political prisoners. He said right after January 6th that those weren't even Trump supporters. That was Antifa. He has talked about getting rid of the FBI, the ATF. There are lots of issues other than what is before the House Ethics Committee, and yet we are still looking at this as a seemingly credibly potential attorney general.
Sure. I think one thing to point out is that everything you just pointed out is a benefit. Well, actually, is probably the reason that he was nominated.
In the first place.
In the first place by Donald Trump. So, yeah, I mean, senators are going to face a crossroads here. They're going to have to determine whether or not they are going to give the nomination or the nod to this person who I'm positive that this report will come out, this damning report,
One way or
which
the other.
alleges, some improprieties on his part with sexual improprieties with regards to women, or young women at that, and whether or not they are going to coalesce around the incoming president. And it's going to be not easy for people running for 2026, I'll add, and just at large. The Senate, he has a grasp on many of Republicans.
And Brakkton, it was my sense on Capitol Hill and in conversations that the first sort of thing that Senate Republicans had to get over and get clear on was, are you serious, President-elect Trump? Is this real? And he's like, yes, it's real, and I want it. And you're going to have to vote yes or no, and it's not going to be pleasant.
Well, I think that's also part of the mandate that the president-elect feels like he's coming into Washington with, right?
Testing it very early.
Well, look. I mean, let's not forget during the first assassination attempt, what did he do? He got up and said, "Fight, fight, fight." Right. So I think that he is taking that fight now to Senate Republicans and saying, like, I dare you to fight me on this because this is going to put you in a difficult position, and you may not have my support going into 2026. So he's feeling probably the biggest and baddest he's ever felt as president coming into this nomination process.
Kadia, to what effect does President-elect Trump's relationship with Speaker Mike Johnson have on the Speaker's very public pronouncements that this Ethics Committee report should not see the light of day?
Yeah, so that was shocking for a lot of people, especially Democrats who thought that Speaker Johnson would kind of lay low and not intervene. But he kind of flew in the face of his House Republican counterparts on the Senate side, Senate Republicans, because they explicitly, many of them said explicitly that they wanted to see the report. He comes
it's
out,
relevant
he said,
information.
All I could look at is, this has been a long road for Speaker Johnson. For the past 6 months, he has been courting Donald Trump. He's had visits to Mar-a-Lago, and we saw that reciprocated in last week when Donald Trump came to a private meeting and gave his full-throated support for Speaker Johnson to become Speaker.
And Kadia, catch our audience up on something that has changed in the mechanism by which in the future someone wants to vacate the speakership What's the voting threshold now? Because it's different.
So this was very important. This was something negotiated between the moderate flank and the very conservative flank. So
Of House Republicans.
Of House Republicans. It used to be 9 members of it used to be one member of Congress that could just pull a vote, bring a vote to the floor, and oust the speaker. Now they've decided on 9 members of Congress, which is an interesting number because it's one more than the 8 that ousted Kevin McCarthy.
At least people can add past 8. Brakkton, you are also tracking the sort of Democratic sorting through the rubble of this election.
Yeah.
There's going to be a new chair of the Democratic National Committee. What do you know?
Well, look, right now, the Democrats are trying to plot their way back from the devastating losses 2 weeks ago. There are a couple of people who have thrown their names out there, kind of trial balloons to see whether or not they can get the necessary support from the members of the DNC. We heard that Martin O'Malley, the former governor of Maryland, was the first one out there. There's also someone that CBS confirmed that is considering a place in throwing his hat in the ring, and Chuck Rocha, somebody who worked for the Bernie Sanders campaign.
He's been at this table many times.
And he's well known within party circles. He's saying, like, too many white men are throwing their hat in the ring. They need to mix it up a little bit. Look, I think this is going to be a long, kind of drawn-out fight, and there's certainly at the beginning stages of this. And there's some regional battles that I think are going to show themselves.
There's going to be names, regions, but based on your reporting, Brakkton, is there a sense of direction that either can be assessed or that people are talking about?
Look, I think right now, the two things are clear, that Democrats want somebody who's going to do this full time. They do not want somebody who's an elected official who's going to be splitting their time trying to rebuild the party. The other thing that's coming up is, like, they want somebody who's going to be a prolific fundraiser, and somebody who, one Democratic operative said, they need to be a wartime general. They need to be able to go out there and take the Democrats' fight to Republicans. As you know, Democrats are going to be shut out of all federal levels of power in the next couple of years.
Not only take the messaging to Republicans, but to constituencies that wandered away from the Democratic Party conspicuously in this election. Kadia Goba, always great to have you. Brakkton Booker, so great to have you. Thanks for being with us.